Well, New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg's anti-gun group holding its latest in a series of rallies trying to call attention to gun violence in this country. Reading aloud at a rally in New Hampshire the names of all victims of gun violence since the Newtown school shooting 6 months ago. More than 6,000 names on that list. And one of them, read at the rally, was Tamerlan Tsarnaev. Tamerlan Tsarnaev, remembered as a victim of gun violence. This, of course, is the man police say bombed the Boston Marathon, killed 3 people, maimed scores of others, and later killed a police officer with a gun before he was shot down trying to kill other police officers. Now this group is trying to explain how exactly the name of a suspected terrorist wound up on a list of victims of gun violence. Lars Larsson is a syndicated radio host on Compass Media Network. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. And now so what you have, Lars, is the mayor of New York City, which was next on the list, according to the feds. Old Tamerlan and his brother were coming here next to shoot us up, to bomb us after they bombed Boston. So our mayor and his anti-gun group go out and honor the guy as a victim of gun violence. And now that they've been caught, they say, oh, it was a mistake and we're sorry. But the group who originally named him says, we're not sorry.
No, Slate magazine made the original list, apparently, and the Mayors Against Guns just decided to cut and paste the thing. And apparently it didn't occur to anybody reading that list that the name of a Muslim terrorist bomber should not be on a list of victims. He wasn't a victim. And in fact, Megyn, one little point, he wasn't shot to death by the police. As you remember, he was actually turned into a speed bump by his terrorist buddy, his brother, Joker Tsarnaev, who drove over him with an SUV. And even the medical examiner's report says that he wasn't a victim of being shot to death by police justifiably. He was a victim of being turned into a speed bump by his fellow terrorist.
And Slate comes out today because the mayor's group says, oh, sorry, we got that list from Slate. Well, what did you have, like a robot reading the names? Because I can understand if this is just some random criminal who nobody had ever heard of, and you're standing up there and it's a live human being who reads the names, right? I mean, so if you get to just Joe Schmo who'd been accused of murder, who's on there, and you might not know Tamerlan Tsarnaev. I mean, Tamerlan Tsarnaev. You're telling me that whoever read this name, and there were repeated rallies. We don't know how many they did this at, Lars. That person had no idea that this was the Boston bomber?
Apparently not. And what's really crazy about this is, by that logic, every person who's shot by the police justifiably, where they present a threat to public safety and the police have to use a firearm to remove that threat, is, by their logic, a victim of gun violence. Megyn, I think what it's emblematic of is this group's disregard for the facts and logic. They don't care what the facts are. They just oppose guns. And they'll use anything they want to use without regard for the facts or logic or common sense or decency, and read the name of a Muslim terrorist as a victim.
Are they trying to inflate their numbers? Because let's have a legitimate argument based on actual facts about who was a victim and who wasn't. And Slate says, look, we never said he was a victim. That was Mayor Bloomberg's group that said that. We just listed the number of deaths. But how is that relevant? I mean, Mayor Bloomberg arms the New York City police to the teeth. And most New Yorkers are fine with that. But on this list that his group is reading are people who were killed by police who were defending innocent citizens and themselves. So what use is this list? What use are these numbers? And are they trying to mislead people at these rallies?
No use at all. And Megyn, you point out an important part. By this logic, American citizens who defend themselves and shoot a bad guy are thereby creating a victim. That person isn't a victim. If you go out and present a threat to life, and in this case, the police were defending the public against a cop killer, a man who turned out to have been involved in the shooting death of a police officer that night. They had every justification to shoot him. And I'd like to examine the rest of the list and take the time to see how many more people are on that list who were shot for justifiable reasons, either by citizens or by the police, and now they've been turned into victims simply because the Mayor Bloomberg, and his fellow mayors from around America who've signed on to this letter have gone on a jihad against guns, and they don't care what it takes. They just want to take guns away from American citizens.
They were the ones who did it. I mean, in Slate's defense, they did not call them victims, and they did come out and say, look, our list also includes other wrongdoers killed by cops, loss. People committed suicide, people died in accidents, people killed by criminals, and it was the mayor's group that decided to name them as victims. Got to run, Lars. Thank you.